Hey, I'm Adam Chaim.
And I'm Shoshana Chaim, and we are Propelled by Plants.
Today we bring to you episode 400, 12 top plant-based doctors sharing wisdom.
Wow, this is episode 400. In this episode of the Plant Trainers podcast, we celebrate our 400th episode. And there's been so much that we've learned and so many amazing people that we have interviewed throughout the way. And it was really hard to choose a topic for today's monumental time. So we decided to go back and share 12 of our favorite clips from many of the plant-based doctors you know and that you love.
We also wanted to make sure that we said thank you to you, to every single one of you out there who is listening, who has downloaded, who has subscribed, who've left us a rating and review. And those of you watching us on YouTube, we really, really appreciate you and hope you love this episode. And now for a moment of gratitude.
A cool fact that we've also discovered actually in the last couple of days is that our podcast is rated top 1% out of the almost 2 million podcasts that are out there right now. All we really do is put out this amazing, or at least we think it's amazing content for you, but you're the guys who, and the gals who consume it, you utilize it, you share it with other people, you use it yourself so that it can improve your quality of life and other people's quality of life. And we're just so grateful that you're here.
So grateful. And so congratulations to you and thank you for allowing us into your lives. We hope you enjoy this episode as we take you back in time to a few gems from nearly 400 episodes of the Plant Trainers podcast. And so let's get started.
Yeah, let's do it.
Right into our first clip, who was one of the greats. But let's have a listen and see what it was.
Even people who go to the gym after work and pound out an hour a day, which is like 3 times, national recommendations. That's all the minimum, right? If they're sitting 6 hours a day or more before they go to the gym, they actually have increased mortality compared to those that don't. Even though, right, they're like totally exercising like crazy in their mind, but sitting is bad for us, independent of our level of physical activity.
All right. So did you guess who that was? That voice, I think, is you can't get by without knowing that voice, I think.
So when we interviewed Dr. Michael Greger on the show, and that clip, he was on his treadmill walking while talking. And sitting is the new smoking. It's considered a serious disease and people are really having trouble with it.
They are. And I think everybody's used to seeing him walking now. But this episode, what episode number was that? It was
206.
206. So that was like 4 years ago. And that was before people really saw him a lot and saw him walking. But you know what we try to hit home with a lot of our clients and our listeners and followers is that just because you're going to the gym for 45 minutes or an hour and a half every day doesn't give you permission to sit all day long. Find times throughout your day, especially now with COVID going on, find times throughout your day to move, touch your toes, walk the stairs, use a washroom that's far away from you, all the things that we talk about all the time. Keep yourselves moving, guys. Okay.
And all of these clips that we're going to play today are going to be in our show notes at planttrainers.com/400. So you could check out the full episode that we have with them. Let's get into our next clip.
Are they going to guess, or we're just going to do it and they're going to guess every time?
The extreme diet on the planet today is the one that's eaten by 97% of Americans, because this is the most unhealthy country with chronic illness and diseases like obesity, diabetes, and heart disease that don't even exist. Remember, half of the planet is eating a plant-based diet, and they never have any cardiovascular disease. We have made a billion-dollar health industry in this country over an illness that doesn't even exist in half the planet.
Amazing.
All right. So
what a voice. It's such a signature voice that he has. Did you guess who it was?
That was Dr. Caldwell Esselstyn. I can't even say it right.
Tough name, Essie. Dr. Caldwell Esselstyn.
Yeah, there we go. So, when we talk about reversing heart disease, I really think that is the number one cardiologist, the number one doctor that everybody thinks of. And that's part of the reason why you got on that journey.
Yeah, his book, Prevent and Reverse Heart Disease, was one of the first ones that I read, that I checked out, that led me into this plant-based lifestyle.
All right.
Let's get to the next one. Are we ready?
Let's do it.
Here we go.
Animal protein, there's a lot more sulfuric amino acids that create an acidosis, and there has been studies showing that acidosis itself leads to weight gain. We know that there's endotoxins in meat, and when you eat meat, you get those endotoxins in your body. It creates inflammation, and inflammation's been linked to weight gain. And then, meat is a growth stimulator. It creates a secretion of a hormone called IGF-1, and IGF-1 is a growth factor, and that growth factor will cause increase in weight over time.
All right. So that was episode 212. Episode 212. I believe that was the first time Dr. Garth Davis was on our podcast. He has made many, many appearances on it. Some have been roundtables we've had with other people, a couple of appearances on his own. Plant-based, #1 bariatric weight loss surgeon. But of course, his book, Proteinaholic, that I'm actually looking at right now. Of course, that book is, gives you some of the most important information out there of how animal protein is affecting our bodies.
Yeah, and protein is always the biggest question that anyone who goes plant-based or is vegan has. Where do you get your protein from? And he really dives into that whole topic in that episode and in his great book. Ready? Here's the next one.
Let's do it.
2 important messages, just bullet points. 1, because I am at heart still a cardiologist, and I don't want to go to more funerals for young people like I did this morning. If a man is developing erectile dysfunction, it might be psychological, it might be endocrine, but it may well be that their vascular system is aging and the arteries providing a sexual response are clogging, and therefore arteries of the brain and arteries of the heart may be clogging. Bottom line, go get checked. If you can't get it up, get on the phone and book an appointment with your doctor.
Yeah, Dr. Joel Kahn has been on the show a couple times, and he's a plant-based cardiologist who really focuses on whole body health, and he takes a very holistic approach to it. And if you have reduced blood flow in one area of your body, you have it in your entire body. So a very important point to remember.
Yeah, he was voted PETA's sexiest man over 50 around that time, and we decided
doesn't really mean anything to me.
It doesn't. it might not mean a lot of things to a lot of people, or it might, but he's he loves talking about anything. So being able to link cardiology with erectile dysfunction and being voted PETA's sexiest over 50, that episode worked.
That was episode 231 with Dr. Joel Kahn. So here's the next one.
80% of parents try to get their kids to eat more. They don't trust their children's hunger and satiety signals. And the reason that that's a problem is because whenever we interfere, we are starting to mess with that inner wisdom that the children have, and we train them out of it. Basically, we teach them how to not listen to their bodies and not pay attention to their hunger and satiety signals. And then that kind of cascades on later to problems, either whether it's under eating or overeating, or seeing foods as good or bad, because that's very common at the dinner table. You can't have your chocolate cake until you eat your broccoli, things like that. And so we start really interfering with how children view food and how they view their bodies because of that simple thing.
That was a great episode. We definitely had a lot to contribute there with our kids, being in that age bracket of, do we trust them? Are they trying to just try to get a snack later? What's going on? So
and that's very common for a lot of parents and the challenges that they face. And that was Dr. Yanni from episode 349, who really deals a lot with that. And we had a great conversation with her. So let's get to the next one.
Example, when I go to the grocery store, I'm wearing my mask and gloves, and I see people, with N95 masks. So they've got the top line N95 mask. They've got their gloves on. Their cart is full of processed food, soda, chips, meat. And I think to myself, this doesn't match. So you're optimizing what you think you are, your health, by protecting yourself. But truly, you're not protecting yourself internally. And, practicing what I preach and what the pillars of lifestyle medicine, following a whole food, plant-based diet. And one of the things that really was transformative to me was Michael Greger's book, How Not to Die.
It's funny when your outside actions don't necessarily match your inside actions. That was Dr. Melissa Sunderman, episode 357. And I mean, that's true. And I'm sure that has happened and is still happening to so many of you right now.
Yeah. And it's awareness of the food that we put in our body, that are coming from our grocery carts, that are coming from the stores, and the things that we buy. We need to raise awareness to the power of the food that we put into our body. Up next.
The pain is not the problem. The pain's the messenger. It's saying, hey, listen up, pay attention. You're not doing something that's in your best interest. And, when people can stop kind of literally or figuratively bypassing their pain and say, okay, what am I doing that's causing this pain? Not to blame yourself, but to empower yourself. Again, it's like people say, oh, I've just got bad genes. What can I do? And you say, well, actually, you can do a lot. You can turn off the bad genes and turn on the good genes. We found over 500 genes were changed in just 3 months when people went on our program. Again, not to blame, but to empower. Then the pain becomes a catalyst for transformation.
Dr. Dean Ornish, episode 295, his insight on life and health and taking control is just so amazing. And if you haven't read his book, Undo It, that's definitely a book that helps, especially if you're an adult living with chronic pain, and especially if you've had a younger childhood filled with abuse, I think, too.
Many consider him to be the father of lifestyle medicine and are learning a lot from his work. So a great one to check into. Here's the next.
Healthy, at least half your food comes from raw vegetables. Easy way you do that is green smoothie for breakfast and maybe a green smoothie later on in the day as a snack, and then you have your other lunch and dinner cooked how you like it. Or you can make every plate half salad. Or you eat a giant salad, but it has beans and quinoa mixed in. You know what I mean? So it's like we have a huge amount of raw foods. And if you're trying to reverse a disease, then more than that, make more of it come from there. Make sure you're getting omega-3s every day. I have great results using flax and chia seeds. If people are healthy, a handful a day. Your handful is your dose. People who are sick, I start them at half a cup a day, which is about the same as 4 tablespoons of the cold-pressed flax oil. And hydration. Don't neglect your water intake. If you don't get enough water, you will get sick, even if your nutrition's perfect.
Dr. Brooke Goldner, episode 298. And one of the biggest questions that we get is, what kind of flax oil do I need, or what kind of omega oil do I need? And really, keeping it whole food, I think is huge. So go back to your chia seeds, go back to your flax seeds, go back to your hemp hearts. She makes some really good points.
Yeah. Here we go.
Body's like, don't eat this, and you're trying to eat it so badly that you find these lactate pills to be able to tolerate the sugar, lactose in the dairy, but you're not seeing all these other health ramifications that don't necessarily have a red light engine until 10 years down the line when you have breast cancer, until 10 years down the line when you have prostate cancer, until 10 years down the line when you have inflammatory conditions, GI problems. So my suggestion is, don't consume dairy. Read labels. I always tell people, read labels. Dairy is a cheap filler. Do you really want that crap in your body?
We should have named episode 339, Dairy is Scary, with Dr. Angie.
Yeah. It always baffled me when people would just take medication to overcome certain things so that they could continue with their bad habits, when they could just resolve their bad habits in the first place. And I know that's difficult, and it's easy for me to say. And I think
a lot of people didn't realize that it was a bad habit. Right.
But I know it's easy for me to say now, but because I'm not in that position right now. But the truth is that dairy causes so much inflammation in the body. It causes so many challenges for people health-wise. And if you could remove it or find ways to reduce it, you're going to find serious health benefits from that.
All right, let's see if you could recognize the voice of this Canadian
doctor. This is a
doctor.
unique voice.
We need to get away from thinking that I'll eat better when I'm sick, because most of us have the precursor lesions in our arteries, most adults, that if that ruptured, we could be an apparently pretty healthy person, rupture the plaque and kill the patient. So disease is way more widespread than we appreciate from a lot of these micro intravascular ultrasound studies showing that you need to get out of this attitude that poor bugger has heart disease, but I'm lucky and I'm doing okay. Just because you look good on the outside doesn't mean your vasculature is not setting yourself up for a bad outcome.
Oh, and how many people actually think that because you look good on the outside, you're okay, and our bodies are not windows.
That's
right.
That's
you
your
can't
story
see.
Right there.
That's exactly it. Like, it's always people waiting until something bad happens before they make that change. And one of the things we've always been talking about is trying to get people to improve their quality of life before they actually have to, improve their health before it's too late, before they're in that situation. We love Dr. Shane Williams, and we're so happy that he was able to join us. He's been on the show a couple times, and he is fan-super-tastic. All right, ready to go?
Let's do
You
it.
don't have to be sick. You don't have to have heart attacks and strokes. You don't have to have diabetes. And the same dietary portfolio that maximize human lifespan is most effective therapeutically to reverse disease. You can reverse lupus and headaches and autoimmune disease and fibromyalgia. And, in other words, we can get people well using nutrition as medicine, using food as medicine.
I mean, going back to the roots of it, let medicine be thy food.
Dr. Joel Furman from episode 351, and always keeping things simple, because the solution can be very simple for most people, and we really have to go back to be able to treat the underlying root cause through the food that we eat. Has so much power in that. So let's get to our last one for today, and not that it's the best for last, but we love this guy. Here we go.
Fiber isn't just fiber. We act like, oh, it's count your grams of fiber. Like the fiber in your Cheerios is the same as the fiber in a black bean. And it's simply not true. There are millions, potentially billions of types of fiber that exist in nature. Every plant has its own unique types of fiber. But here's the cool thing. Fiber is food for the microbiome. This is what they eat. This is what they thrive on. And every plant that you eat will feed specific populations of bacteria and allow them to thrive, grow stronger, and then exert their healing effects on your body.
So people know him as Dr. B. I think people need to know him as Dr. Fiber.
Dr. Fiber. We always love talking to Dr. B, and Fiber Fueled is a very impactful book, and if you haven't checked that out, of course you should. And that's the end of our list for today. Wow, it's episode 400. We had so many amazing doctors on this show that we didn't include in this episode, and that's not to say they aren't amazing. It just wasn't the clips that we pulled. I mean, we will save them for another time, I guess. Right?
We definitely have enough that we could save them for another one. I think what we kind of did is we looked for some clips that were a little bit different for spreading out, right back from episode 200. I think Dr. Greger may have been the first doctor that we actually had on the show. Not sure, don't quote me on that. But yeah, we've had so many great conversations. And I mean, this is almost something that we can do with nutritionists, with dietitians, with physiotherapists, with fitness trainers, with transformation stories. There's just been 400 amazing episodes.
The bottom line is there's so many amazing people that have been on our show that we've learned from and that we are so grateful for. And if you haven't listened back to all of our episodes, that's okay. You still can. Of course, iTunes only shows the last 300 that are posted. But if you go onto our website at planttrainers.com, you could literally go planttrainers.com/001 and you can get our first episode, and every number you can put in there at the end of that URL and you can get to every single episode. We've had so many amazing people. We're so lucky and grateful to be able to share this with you, and so happy to have this opportunity to get into your ears.
Yes. And if you have a suggestion for a topic, or if you have a suggestion for a guest who you'd like to see or hear on the Plant Trainers podcast, get into our DMs at Plant Trainers on Instagram, or send us an email at info@planttrainers.com. We get lots of those. We try to accommodate everybody. And if you have an introduction to somebody that you'd like to see on the show, by all means, send us an email introducing us to them. We're here to bring you the best of the best and give you the most information and help improve your quality of life.
And you know what? If you are still listening at this point in this episode, I think we should do this for you. First of all, thank you. But I want you to send us a DM on our Instagram. And the first 5 people that do that, we're going to send you a t-shirt.
Wow.
Yeah,
wow.
We're going to send you a t-shirt to just thank you for being here with us. We really appreciate it. We have so many more episodes coming. Some are already recorded and ready to go.
Yeah, they're uploaded.
And so stay tuned for more episodes of the Plant Trainers podcast. We appreciate you guys for being here. Thank you so much, and be well.
Peace.